It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulsen and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Something that I think is interesting, you mentioned like this transition to single high, and like this is a little bit of a football nerdy question. And with that single high, there's been a lot of like this cover 3 match, which kind of gets bastardized into like this cover 6. And like, it's really, really hard to tell what defenses are in oftentimes. And I just wanted to know, like, how does that affect you as a quarterback? Because you're kind of, teams are moving away from this, like, oh, we're in quarters and here are the 4 segments and here's cover 2 and here's cover 3. And it's becoming much more harder to diagnose because they're kind of in this in between with this match principle. So just like, what challenges does that face and how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, I wish we could go back. I wish we could go back to you knew exactly what you were looking at. Here's cover 4. I'm throwing this post. Don't worry about it. Let it fly. But you're right. I think the league has shifted to a lot more hybrid coverages. And you talk about that cover 6 and that cover 3, that 3 match. Depending on where the high safety is, you really can't tell.
It looks the same, man.
It looks the same. There's a lot of difficulty in determining whether or not that guy's playing middle field or whether he's cheating to a side or whether it's truly a half to that boundary side. And so it's difficult. I always go back to it probably shifted for me, year 6, year 7, where you started to see a lot more of these combination coverages where it was maybe a little bit of man over here, maybe a little bit of zone on this side. There were different principles within that. And it really became about reading spots. And Logan, you can go back to this of having played for Kyle Shanahan. One of the things that changed for me when he came in was, hey, let's have a good idea of what they're doing in the back end, but let's not obsess over it.
Right.
Let's read spots. Let's understand. If we think it's split safety, we're going to start on this side, but we're going to work our progression. If we think it's single high, we're going to start over here. And then we would always have the caveat of, if I knew nothing, if I have zero idea what they're in, because if you're being real, there's times where that's the case. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if there's 3 buzz. I'm not really sure, where they're at. So I would always have the caveat in there. Hey, what's my progression if I know nothing?
Yeah.
What if I have zero idea what's my progression? And then you really start to read spots. And I think the more you get those combination coverages, the more you see kind of amoeba shells in the back end, the more it's about starting in spots, trusting your progressions. If it's not there, check the ball down and run.
And can you elaborate that, like reading spots? Because I think a lot of people say, I'm reading the corner, I'm reading here. But like with Kyle, you're just like you're reading, you're attacking like an area of the field, right? And so could you just kind of go into that process a little bit more and why that helps you out in terms of not having to know exactly what's happening?
Yeah, I think it's so huge. They ask so much of you as a quarterback to turn your back.
Right.
To turn your back and show that run. Whether they're doing more of it from the gun now than when I was playing for Kyle. But
right.
Even still, you're shrinking, you're turning your back, and so you don't really have the opportunity to diagnose the post snap.
Right.
So it's a lot of your work has to be done pre-snap, and then you have to trust it. The thing I think they do a great job of, and when I say seeing spots, we might be attacking 2 yards outside the hash.
Right. Yes.
Or 2 yards or 4 to 6 yards inside the numbers. And so it gives you this mental just picture of, as soon as I snap my back, I know exactly where my eyes need to go. And then you've got to assess whether it's muddy or it's not. And know, we would talk about reading with your feet all the time, and know that if that picture 2 yards outside the hash or 4 yards from the number is muddy on my first hitch, it's on to whoever is second in the progression. If it's muddy on the second hitch, ball's out to the check down or you're running.
Right.
And I think that's being very specific with the landmarks that you're trying to attack, I think is important in the league right now.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Just those, like the landmarks and the zones. And the other thing that I think Kyle, and you could speak to this way better than I could, is did a great job of is, I don't want to say giving the quarterback like easy throws, like easy opportunities off of the play action. And that was such a big feature of kind of saying like, hey, I'm not going to ask you to kind of get back there and be Mozart for 50 snaps. I'm going to give you 5 keepers. I'm going to give you 10 play pass. I'm going to give you 5 quick game. How important is that for you as a quarterback to kind of say, I don't have to be back here, like sometimes you were in Indy, just wheeling and dealing for 50 snaps, which is pretty tough ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to consistently win that way.
Yeah.
Where you're dropping back, where you're asking your offensive line to protect drop back passing 50, 55 times in a game. You might be able to do it a handful of times, but week in and week out, the D lines are too good. I remember having a meeting with Kyle. This is probably halfway through my first season with him.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, Matt, he said, my job is first and second down. He said, my job is to get guys open for you on first and second down, whether it's keepers, whether it's quick game, whether it's play action pass, whatever it is. That's my responsibility. He's like, where I need you to come to life is on third down and in the red area. And really, as you see the teams that he's been a part of, they do such a good job of creating explosives on first and second down. And like you said, they've got guys running open.
Yeah.
They get guys open. But for them to be successful, you've got to be able to convert those third downs that you need to, and then you've got to be able to make plays in the red area. And I always thought that freed me up as a player. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get 15 pass attempts a game where guys are gonna be open, or you're gonna check it down and it's all good, and then there's gonna be another 15 that you really got to go make a play.
Right.
You got to fit one in there, or if you got to find a way to get it done. And I really think he does such a great job with that.
Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do. 1067 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do it.
Very, very smart.